If you will relax through everything, there's no resistance. You can't resist when you're relaxing. Resistance takes muscle. Resistance takes pushing inside. It takes energy. If you relax, then there's no pushing. There's no resisting. But it hurts. We talked about that. That pain is childbirth. That's soul birth. And so basically, you just relax when you feel it. If you want out, you gotta let go. And so it happens every day. Do the little things first, not the big things. And you keep letting go. And eventually you'll build that inner strength that sees it's worth it to let go. Because I feel much better on a regular basis. That's because you have more energy. That's because you're not as blocked as you used to be. And it will just happen by itself. You don't have to do anything. As I said, I prefer you don't do anything, but you won't be able to. You want to protect yourself. You want to manipulate and control people so it doesn't happen. You're in the wrong direction. If you sit there and say, I'm afraid that this person's going to critique me badly or say something badly about me, good, let go. Just keep letting go. You just keep letting go. Relax and release. And it works. How can it not work? The stuff in there is what's messing up your life. And if you stop keeping it in there, it's going to come up. How will I know it came up? How do I know what I need to work on next? It will be in your face. Just don't fight with it.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with #BelieveNation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because I need it. I need it for me because I don't wake up every day and say, yes, let's go conquer the world. No, I wake up and I need that external motivation to match my internal motivation. When I see somebody who's doing amazing things, it makes me just want to play a bigger game. And so I hope that today's video makes you want to play a bigger game too, because your message matters, and let's get it out to the world. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Michael A. Singer, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy.
I used the example the other day. You learn to play tennis. You got a coach. You're very, very good with your forehand. Man, I am amazing. People, wow, how long have you been playing? That's how good I am with the forehand. I'm terrible with my backhand. If you're that person's coach, where are you going to hit the ball? At the forehand? What for? You hit the backhand because it needs to get better, all right? That's how you look at life. You're supposed to be challenged. The coach that's hitting you at your weak spot, don't fire him. You keep hitting where I'm not good and I'm embarrassed. People see I don't know how to play. What are you, crazy? You can't get better if you don't work at the places where you're weak. And so life is really good at hitting your stuff, isn't it? And by the way, when it's not hitting your stuff, you're afraid it will. You're afraid that something will happen that will hurt you. That will hurt your heart. That will make your mind get bothered. That something won't be the way you want. So you go out there and try to make sure it doesn't happen. No. You open up, you look at what you're supposed to be doing, and you do it. And then things happen. Bosses yell at you, this happens, that happens, the relationship doesn't work out, all kinds of things happen. And nice things happen too. Things can happen to help you. It works like that. If you let life do it, it will unwind your stuff, there's some scars or patterns, exactly as they need to be. And sometimes everything will work out. Sometimes it's like the sun is shining on you. What the heck? What's that all about? It's about, it will give you the time of strength that you need so that you have the power to handle the letting go. And someday you're going to see, you'll look back and say, OMG, it was perfect. It was perfect. I got the book I needed when I needed to get it. And then something happened that made me need that I needed to get it, all right? And you start seeing these patterns happening. You say, it's as if the whole universe is trying to help me cleanse. That is the meaning of your life. The meaning of your life is to go back up with less than you came down with, period.
Rule number 2 is live in the present.
If I go backwards, I can see that awareness at age 5, but then as I get younger and younger, I start to lose track. And I don't know what that was before I was born. And I don't know if that will continue after I die. And so this promise of spirituality, you'll get to know the who inside. I'm like, okay, I kind of know that who while I'm alive, but I don't know what it will be like when I'm not alive. Mm-hmm. So I want to know what you have to say to that.
I'm glad you don't know, and I'm glad you admit that you don't know, because the truth is almost nobody knows. Like, they believe, and I don't participate in that game. I don't want to just be another person who tells you to believe something. This is what I'll tell you, and I know I'm right. You'll find out. That's as far as you should go with, I don't know whether I'll be there after I die. I guarantee you will find out. And if you're not there, it won't be a problem. It's not like, I'm not here. Oh my God, I don't like this. No, you're not there. If you are there, which by the way, you will be, but I didn't say that. Okay. You'll find out what it's like to be there and not have a body. And what's going on? Where am I? Why think about it now? Live your life now. Be here now, right? You'll have that experience then. And the fact that you didn't know what you were like before you dropped down, every master teaches really the same truth, which is when you drop, Yogananda said it like this: when you drop into the body, when the consciousness drops into the body, that is a traumatic experience, okay? All of a sudden, there's all these sensations and all this sound and all these sights and all these feelings and things. It's freaky, okay? The consciousness totally freaks out. And so it's lost. It's called the lost consciousness. It's not like now. I don't care if you think you have problems. You don't have problems compared to someone who has amnesia and just woke up from amnesia and doesn't know who they are or where they were. You understand that? That's like a panic type of a state. That's what happens when consciousness drops into the body. It's disoriented completely. It doesn't, and so what it does is start grabbing. Buddhists call it clinging. It starts grabbing to mommy, to crib, to blankie, to toy, you understand that? It just grabs anything that's steady that it can get its hands on, and it starts to build some solidity inside. It's not really solid. It's just thoughts, it's experiences, but they're firm, they're regular. Always put the baby in the same crib. Don't do the experiment. What happens when we put a baby in a different crib every night and a different mother picks them up? Because every psychologist will tell you that's out of the question, right? Because the self, the conscious is going through this experience of trying to ground, of trying to settle. Okay, I know who I am. I am this person's child. I am the owner of this crib. I am the one who has this blankie. Okay, so you develop a self-concept, and that gives you a sense of stability. And then you keep that throughout your entire life. So the fact that you don't remember what your consciousness was like before you did all that is completely understandable. Great masters say they do. It's none of my business. Okay, Yogananda said he was totally conscious in the womb, and they know where they were before. Okay, so it's nice that somebody says that, but I don't want you to say that. I want you to be real. And what real is, there was a tumultuous period until you started to build this self-concept. And all psychology will tell you that. You built a concept of yourself, and then the consciousness rested on that and said, at least now I know who I am. I'm the person who lives here. I'm the person that has this, and mother, daddy, this and that, right? And you've done that through your whole life. I'm the person that married so-and-so. I'm the person that got divorced. That's not who you are. Those are the experiences you've had. I'm not denying the experiences, right? But you're collecting experience you had and then saying, that's who I am. No, you're the one that had the experience. So that's my level. I don't want to add to the belief structure that you're supposed to believe something about what happens when you die or believe something where you were before you were born. To me, it's irrelevant. It should not be an important thing in your life. What should be important is finding out who's in there, and why do they keep getting pulled down into the thoughts and down into the emotions and down into what's the tiniest little things happening in the world.
Rule number 3 is find fulfillment.
What work is to most people is an answer to problems they have. I'm not okay, so I go to work to earn money so I can enjoy the weekends, so that I can go travel, so that I can have vacations. I don't feel tremendous meaning in my life, so I go to work to feel like I'm contributing, to feel like I'm succeeding in something. I'm not sure of myself. Work gives me an opportunity to prove myself. In other words, work is about me. Work is not about work. Work is about me, what I can get from it, what it can do for me, what is my career, what is my growth path, et cetera, of being able to prove myself and compete with others. It all ends up being a place that I'm going to get something. That is not what work is. Work is the exact opposite. Work is a place I go to serve. Work is a place I go to contribute to the unfolding of the universe. A wise person gets to a point where they understand that every single thing in creation has something to give. It has a contribution. The stars, the earthworms, every cell within your body, all of these things contribute to make the whole. You are part of that. So you have a job to do. That job we call your dharma, your work. You don't have to look for it. It's right in front of you. It's always right in front of you. It's not just the fact that you get up early in the morning and go to a particular place. It's the fact that you take care of the kids. It's the fact that you contribute to the community. Whatever it is that you're doing that's being asked of you, that is put before you, is your work. So the whole attitude about work needs to go through a reset. Once you go through that reset and you understand there's not something wrong with my work, there's something wrong with me. It's just like a relationship. You don't get into a relationship because you want something from somebody, that I'm not okay and somehow magically this other person is going to make me okay. You get into a relationship because you're filled with love, you're filled with joy, you're filled with excitement, and you'd like to share it. Work is exactly the same. You go to work because you want to express yourself. You go to work for the same reason that an artist paints in her spare time in the woods when nobody will ever see the painting. I have something within me that wants to express itself, and work is the manifestation of that expression. And someday you're going to find out that it doesn't make any difference what you're doing. It is the expression and the act of doing it that brings about joy, that brings about fulfillment. Work is not a place that you go to get something so you can be fulfilled. Work is a place that you go that in sharing and giving, you achieve a state of fulfillment. It is an end within itself. And if you work on yourself, you will find that work is your spiritual growth.
Rule number 4 is stop resisting.
Your blockages are blocking this beautiful flow of Shakti, of energy. It doesn't want to be blocked. It will push them out of the way. It happens every day of your life. Stuff gets pushed up. You're driving in the car, you're doing okay, and all of a sudden this thing comes up. You remember what your mother did, or what your father did, what your first boyfriend, how he hurt you. You see a sign that reminds. What do? Boom, push it right back down. I don't want to deal with this. I'm telling you, the Shakti, the spirit, the chi down there is going to push this stuff out of the way. It does not want it to be there. It doesn't want blockages to be in the way of the flow, just like the river doesn't. But you will not let it happen, will you? There's no way. If all of a sudden you're sitting there and somebody says something and you feel the insecurity you felt when your father yelled at you, you do something to avoid that. Tell the person to apologize. You can, excuse me, I have to go to the bathroom. You walk away. Okay, I'm doing better now. That's how you deal with it. Do you understand that? I'll teach you how to deal with it, but that's how you deal with it. So it is coming up all the time. It gets pushed up by different situations in your life, and you don't want to. So you're scared of this stuff coming up. And so you resist it. You push it away. You fight it. You avoid situations that would make it come up. Even if they're totally natural situations. You want to go to the party? Yeah. Okay, let's go. We got to go with your friends together. I'm all excited about it. Well, Paul's going to be there. No. I don't want to go. I can't deal with that. You can't deal with that. I can't deal with the stuff coming up that's being pushed up by the Shakti, by the energy. I can't deal with it. All right, so now you're getting a little taste of what it really means to work on yourself. You don't have to do anything. In fact, if you would not do anything, you'd be fine. All you have to do is not resist, not fight the process, not be able to handle this natural process of purification that is going to take place. You don't have to go down there and make it happen. Like people write me sometimes, there's a lot of stuff down there. How do I know which one to work with? It's right in front of you. Oh, but this isn't my major one. I don't care. If you will work with the one that's coming up now, wait till you see what happens. And then you're actually going to see it's perfect. It knows exactly which one needs to come out. It's like pulling a string to unwind a ball of thread that's tied together. You better pull the right string or it all gets tighter. It knows exactly what needs to come up next. And if you can let go of that one, the next thing happens, the next thing happens. You don't have to pay attention. You just don't resist.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5 is eliminate distractions.
Why I'm in this, you call it the human predicament, that I keep getting pulled into all of these disturbances.
Yes. Well, I love that you use the word dis, I would like to call them distractions instead of disturbances. Okay? You know what it's like to get distracted. We get distracted all the time. You're doing something and then something else catches your attention, correct? That's what has happened in here. You are being distracted by your thoughts. Okay? You're being distracted by your emotions. You're being distracted what's coming in by your senses. Consciousness is so distracted by these things that it literally identifies with them. It says, that's who I am, because that's where I'm hanging out. I tell people, if I were to stare at a point, let's say the tile on the floor, if all I did was stare at the tile on the floor, that's my world. Because my world is what I'm conscious of, right? Okay? And so if I focus completely on something narrow like that, then I've narrowed my consciousness. I tell everybody, in the 60s, we talk about expanding consciousness. I would never use that term anymore. The term is stop constricting and contracting your consciousness. Your consciousness is already fully expanded. My consciousness can see this whole room, but if I focus on just a point on the floor, then that's all I'm conscious of. So what we're doing is getting distracted by our thoughts, distracted by our emotions, distracted by what's coming in through our senses. That's a very small part of the universe, to say the least, right? It's like 3 feet by 5 feet high, or 6 feet high. That's it. It's just a point on the planet Earth. And you know my favorite saying, 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun. 1.3 million. And how much space do you take up on the Earth? And your consciousness is constantly drawn down to being distracted and focusing on these thoughts, your emotions, and what's coming in through your senses. That's minuscule compared to what's going on everywhere. Okay? And that's why you get caught down there. That's our predicament. That's the human predicament, which is what? Consciousness, which I assure you is capable of experiencing much more than just staring at yourself. It doesn't have to stare at yourself. If I don't stare at the point in the floor, what do I see? Everything else. If you don't stare at yourself, what do you see? Everything else. And that's the great spiritual state, which you're perfectly capable, everyone's perfectly able of experiencing that. But the question is how to not be distracted by our thoughts, how to not be distracted by our emotions. More importantly, I don't like to play how to not. Why are we so distracted by our thoughts? How many thoughts do we have? How many of your thoughts are meaningless? How many thoughts end up being you were stupid to think it, right? It just didn't turn out to be real. It didn't turn out to be a problem. The person wasn't really thinking what you thought they were thinking. You were just in a bad mood. You understand that? A lot of our thoughts, the vast majority of our thoughts, we'd be better off if we didn't have them. They're just distracting our consciousness from work, from relationships, and so on and so forth. So the question is, why are you so distracted by your thoughts? And until you learn to not be distracted by your thoughts, you're going to be distracted by your thoughts. Why are you so distracted by your emotions? Until you learn not to be, you're going to be pulled down into your emotions. So that's the foundation, to me, that's the foundation of spirituality.
Rule number 6 is get honest with yourself.
Wisdom, yoga, spirituality is about going deeper. Buddhists talk about working at the root. So the truth of the matter is, the only thing you needed to write on a piece of paper when I asked you, what do you really want, is a sense of total well-being. I want to feel love. I want to feel joy. I want to feel inspiration. I want to feel meaning and depth. And you made the mistake of doing it what I call indirectly, by saying, I want something outside that I think will make me feel that inside. So without belaboring the point, to go deep and to really be on a spiritual journey, you don't let yourself do that anymore. Because I'm sure there are plenty of times that you said, oh my God, if only this happened, I'd be fine. And you know that didn't turn out that way. Even if it did for a moment, it didn't stay that way. It's not like there wasn't anything else you ever wanted. And likewise, if something was bothering you, you sat there and said, if only that would go away, I'd be fine. That again is not the truth. So you come down to the point where eventually you be totally honest with yourself. It may sound selfish, but you'll see in the end it's not. To where you say, I want to be happy. I want to feel love. I want to feel joy. I want to feel inspired. I want to be turned on inside all the time. So now if that burning bush was sitting out there and you were wise enough that when God said to you, what do you want? And you said that, whoa, you're a winner, right? How can you lose if from the moment you wake up in the morning, you're turned on, you're inspired, you're excited, you can't wait to see what's going to happen for the rest of the day, and you embrace it totally, and then at night, you've given everything you have, you put your head down, you fall asleep, you wake up again, I'm back, ready to go. That would be a beautiful life, and that's what you're looking for. You just think you need all these things in order to get that. So now we go to the next step of what do I really want? And the question that gets asked by a person who's deep and wants to go spiritually is, yes, I want to feel okay inside. That's really what I want. The outside is not what I'm about. It just seems to, in my past, I've had the experience that the outside changes how I feel inside. And that's what a wise person starts to realize. That if certain people walk up to me and they say certain things at just the right time in just the right way, it turns me on. If the same person walks up to me at the wrong time and says the wrong thing in the wrong way, it turns me off. So I now have taken on the task of manipulating, controlling everybody who walks up to me so that they say it right, what I want at that time, and they don't say what I don't want. And it just comes down to I have this list of what I want and what I don't want. And most human beings, and most means 99.9%, have devoted their entire life to getting what they think they want and avoiding what they think they don't want. And the emphasis on the word think. Versus it becomes much simpler when you realize what I want is to be okay. I want to feel love. I want to feel joy. I want to feel happiness and inspiration. So now as you look at that, the next question becomes, why don't you? Because your experience is, I can only feel those things if the outside comes in through my senses in a certain way. So the depth, where you start to get spiritual and you go deeper into this, is you ask, why is it like that? Why is it that if I get what I want, it turns me on? And if I don't get what I want, it turns me off? And if I get what I don't want, it definitely turns me off. And if I don't get what I don't want, I feel relieved. We take that for granted. The yogi takes nothing for granted. A spiritual person questions everything. Why is it that the only thing that really turns me on is when the outside world is exactly the way that my inner state decided it wanted it to be?
Rule number 7 is be mindful.
I hope you're enjoying these sharings that we're doing about the workplace and how to make every moment of your work experience a spiritual experience and part of your sadhana, part of your spiritual practice. I thought we'd take a real fun one, which every one of us do regularly in a workplace, which is, what's so spiritual about writing an email? What's so mindful about writing an email? How do I bring consciousness to play and use it as my spiritual growth in writing an email? The truth of the matter is, writing an email is a very, very important thing to do. You are communicating with other people, so it has the whole aspect of communication, and you're also putting yourself out there. Where I grew up, in the size business that I worked with, we were told, every single email you write, imagine on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. So that's a whole nother aspect of mindfulness, is what you write matters. It's not just some innocent little thing. And when you talk, right, unless somebody's recording, it's said and it's gone. An email is not that. It is a permanent record, and it can be used as such. You have a lot of interesting dynamics in writing an email. One is that, which is you best watch what you say, and the other is, obviously you have something to say, you wouldn't be writing the email, so you have to communicate. It's just a wonderful case of mindfulness. So the first thing you do when you sit down to write an email is center. Always center. I don't care if you're just saying yes, sending an email back with a reply. How many times have I hit a reply and I thought I hit reply and hit reply all? Not too many, thank God. You have to be conscious every single step of the way. So you start off with, am I just responding to the person who sent it to me as a reply, or is what I'm going to say something that should be shared with other people? That's what mindfulness is, all right? It is being present and making a conscious decision instead of letting habit and mindlessness cause trouble. So to me, even that act helps you spiritually.
Rule number 8 is stop bothering yourself.
The moment in front of you is not bothering you. You're bothering yourself about the moment in front of you. That is always the truth. That's a very hard truth to digest. I'll tell you that right now. Your mind does not agree with that. But stop for a moment and let's talk about it. The moment in front of you isn't bothering everybody else, maybe. but it's sure bothering you. So either the moment in front of you is bothersome, or it's a moment. That's something that I try to get across in the new book. Every moment in the universe is a moment in the universe. That's all it is. I'll drop you down at some place in Paris and there's something going on. I'll move you 10 feet away, there's something else going on. I'll bring you back to Kansas and drop you in Wichita and there's something going on. No matter where I put you, there's something going on. Now, I'm going to ask you a math question. How many different things are there going on at the same time on the planet Earth? There's no number that's big enough. Trillions and trillions of things are going on at the same time. If you're willing to let go of yourself, you realize they're all the same. They are what happens to be going on the planet Earth at that moment. Don't worry, it won't be going on in the next moment. And the moment before doesn't happen again ever. Ever. So the moment you happen to be standing in front of is just a unique moment in time and space, and you just happen to be standing there. It's not personal. How can it be personal? There's 800 billion of them, and that's just on Earth. What about the rest of the place? Are there moments going on there? Are there moments going on in every place in the moon? Moments going on in every place everywhere? Well, that's a lot of moments. And you just happen to be standing in front of one of them. It has nothing to do with you. It's not personal. You didn't make it. It's just like a movie moving through, and it passes by. It can't bother you, but you can bother yourself about it. And I'm going to tell you a secret. If you don't bother yourself about it, it won't bother you. If you don't bother yourself about it, it will not bother you one iota. How do I know? Because there's 700 trillion moments that are not bothering you. They exist just like every other moment. And they're not bothering you. Why? Because you're not bothering yourself about them. If I pick you up and I drop you there, you'll bother yourself about it. Well, why don't you bother yourself about it before I drop you there? The same moment, same thing. You have to be willing to let go at that level if you want to explore the deep states. The moment in front of you is not bothering you. You are bothering yourself about the moment in front of you.
Rule number 9 is practice acceptance.
Why don't you learn to not close? Once you get some openness, start to work with yourself to not close. And this is how to get what you really want. The deep spiritual teachings are really teaching you how to get what you want. Because what you want is to feel love and joy and happiness all the time. And so if you can get that from within, you then can share it. And again, this is not selfish. What did Christ say? One of his favorite teachings, right? Man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that leaveth the mouth of the Father. Only a yogi, a spiritual being, knows what that means. It means you don't live off of what's coming in from outside. Bread is much bigger than just eating. It's all of these circumstances that we need that feed us. All right? You do it by tuning into the energy within. Every word that leaveth the mouth of the Father. That's where the spiritual energy is coming from. It's coming from spirit. So as you're in there working with yourself, you will find out that if you don't close, you have access to that energy all the time. And I mean all the time. No matter what happens to you, no matter what befalls you, if people are dishonest with you, if you don't get what you want, if somebody else gets the job you want, if you don't get the raise you want, these are not terrible things. These are things that make you close. And when you close, you give up the meaning of your life. You give up your joy. You give up your beauty. You give up your love. You fall in love with somebody. That's beautiful. It's wonderful. They do something. They slurp their soup. They leave the cap off the toothpaste. They, whatever it is, they pull the blankets off in bed, right? They just do some silly little thing. And I'm telling you, you're going to close. Why would you trade love, which is so precious, for a stupid little thing like your mind not liking some little trait that somebody has? I'm encouraging you to look at it that way and say, I'm ruining my relationship and giving up love by deciding to not like what this person did or deciding to not accept this or accept that. That's why now you're at the core of spirituality. Acceptance, surrender. What does it mean? It means I'm not going to let the outside world close me. I have the right to have it beautiful inside. Nobody has the right to take that away from me. This is my world. I live in here. And that becomes your spiritual work.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is set yourself free.
The meaning of life is the experience of life. And you get a certain number of years to experience it, and that's a lot of experiences. And all you do is complain. You think the meaning of life is getting what you want. You know you do. The meaning of life is getting what I want and avoiding what I don't want. No. If you're whole and you're happy, you go here and you experience life, all of it, every second of it, all the weather and all the people and all the foods and just everything there is. It's unbelievable. Everywhere you look, there's thousands of things. And then you go look somewhere else. Look to the left, different. Look to the right, above. Are you kidding me? It's a phenomenal experience. No, it's not. Why? Because I'm not okay inside. And the only part of life that I want is that which makes me feel better. We got it now? And the part of life I don't ever want to have is the part that makes you feel worse. So because you're blocked inside, because you have this problem inside that you're not doing well, you can't do life for the purpose of life. You have to limit it to what you want and what you don't want. Now you come down to what do we do about this? You look inside, once and for all. What do you see? Am I okay? Why are you not okay inside? That's all I want to know. That's all I want to work on. I don't want to compensate for it. I don't want to explain it. I want to find out, is this my natural state that I'm not okay inside? No, it's not. Your natural state is ecstasy. Your natural state is completeness, wholeness, abundance at a level you can't even imagine. So much enthusiasm, so much energy, so much love, so much clarity and inspiration. That is your natural state, period. Then the question becomes, so why don't I feel that? Now that's a serious question. The reason is, when you have disturbing experiences in your life, do you like that? What do you do with them? You suppress them. I don't want to think about them. I don't want to talk about them. I don't want them to have happened. That means you push them away. You store them inside yourself. If you're going to store all the disturbing experiences you've had in your life, what's it going to be like in there? Disturbed. You don't need any more teachings. It's that simple. If you collect food that made you sick and have it on the menu, you're going to get sick. If you collect stuff that bothered you inside of you, it's going to bother you. And it does. It comes back up when you're sleeping. It comes back up when somebody's talking to you, reminds you of it, yes or no. It keeps getting hit and it's stimulated, and you have to struggle to get away from it, or go for vacations and go, or drugs or alcohol, whatever it is. You have to try and get away from yourself because you're not doing okay with yourself. Why? Because you stored this stuff inside. I don't want any more metaphysical discussion or philosophy. I don't like that stuff. I don't need that stuff. It's pretty straightforward. If you store inside of you everything that ever bothered you from your childhood all the way up, including today, things bothered you. Somebody said something. Now what happens when you see them tomorrow? If you store it inside of you, it's going to stay inside of you. Why? Because you're making it stay inside of you. Instead of looking at the decision you're trying to make, ask yourself, what are you trying to get from this decision? What's your motive? What you're going to find out is every single time, it is either I'm trying to make a decision that will make me feel better, make me happier in the future, let me achieve a better state inside myself where I'm more content, and more excited, more enthused, feel higher, etc. Or I'm trying to make a decision that will save me from having to experience something that I don't want to experience. Which way can I choose this so it's a path of least resistance? So you find that the motive behind your decision, as opposed to getting all involved in the decision, you step back and say, what am I trying to achieve? And you're going to see that it's either a desire or a fear. You're trying to achieve a desire by moving to New York or moving to California, which won't work for me, right? You're trying to make your mind be psychic to figure out which one will make you happier, versus I'm trying to avoid a situation that I don't want. And then you take a look at that and you realize what I'm really trying to decide is how to be happy inside, how to be in a better state inside myself. Well, why don't I say that honestly? It's not really about this decision. It's about how can I find a more beautiful state inside myself. And that's where it leads to yoga. That's where it leads, everything leads to spirituality, because it says the state you're looking for is inside yourself. What in the world has it got to do with where you live or what your job is or who you're married? It's got to do with how you're doing inside yourself. Why don't you work on that a little bit instead of trying to put the burden on your mind of thinking that some decision you're going to make down the road is going to decide the quality of your life? Because the truth of the matter is the state of your being is going to determine the quality of your life. If you're whole, if you're complete, if you're enthused, if you're filled with love, it doesn't matter which place you live in. You're going to be wonderful. wonderful. And if you're disturbed inside, it's not California, New York that's going to make the difference. It does for a short period of time because it's new, and therefore you're more open to it. So you step back behind the decision, and you look to see where you're coming from. And at some point, if you come deep enough at looking at that, you'll realize I have put a burden on my mind of saying this is going to determine the quality of my life. And it's not true. You're going to determine the quality of your life. So at least come back to that center, that deep center inside that undercuts all this. Then you're going to find out that you don't put the pressure on yourself with that decision. And often it will unfold naturally. It doesn't mean you don't make a decision, not indecision, but you'll find that if you get rid of the noise inside of you, you'll be able to see more clearly what is actually happening and what is maybe a better way to serve, a better way to balance the energies, as opposed to how can I make myself happy with this decision, or how can I avoid my fears with this decision.
Your mind is a very great thing. It is brilliant. It took metals and sand and taught the sand to think, and silicon, and took metals and made a rocket ship, got inside and flew to the moon. Oh my God. You are brilliant. You have a brilliant mind, okay? That's not the problem. The problem is what you're doing with it. When you go to that brilliant mind and you say, I'm not okay because I store all this junk inside of me, figure out how everybody else needs to be so I can be okay. That is a total misuse of mind. Stop it. That's what you do. That's your technique. Stop doing that. Don't use your mind for that. That's the personal mind. Don't use your mind for that. Use your mind for great things. Don't use your mind for sick things. Well, but then what do I do about the fact that I'm not okay? Fix it. Don't make everybody else be different so you can be okay. Don't have all these rules of how everything needs to be so you feel better. Find out why you're not okay. How's that? Buddhists say work at the root. That's the root, right? Well, why am I not okay? I told you, you just weren't listening. You're not okay because you shoved all this stuff inside of you, of every single experience you ever had in your life that bothered you, that you weren't comfortable with. There are going to be things that are not comfortable. You see a rattlesnake all coiled up, rattling. Oh, that's not comfortable. I promise you, I've seen him. All right? That's supposed to scare you. You got it straight? That's why he's doing it. It's not wrong. It's not bad. It didn't ruin your life. It's a heck of an experience, in fact. Does that mean I should go pick it up? No, you respect the experience you're having, and then you let it pass. You're a greater being because you had that experience. Every experience you have makes you a greater being. Because you had the experience. I don't know how to explain that to you. Why do you practice tennis? Why do you, when you practice tennis, you just have the ball, ball server, the automatic server, do you just have it come exactly where your strength is every single time so you can get better at where you're strong? No, you hit it all over the place. Why? Because every single angle you get better because you use those muscles and because you came in tune, right or wrong. Practice makes perfect. Well, if practice makes perfect in sports, why does practice not make perfect in life? Experience is your best teacher. Therefore, every single experience you have it, and it passes through you. Don't hold on to the rattlesnake so that you miss the next experiences. Honor and respect the experiences you had. Everyone, the divorce, the this, the children, traumas, I don't care. I'm serious. Stop it. You're not a victim. You're somebody who received the gift of experience. How's that? The fact that it wasn't comfortable, well, the rattlesnake wasn't comfortable. Fine, that's part of the experience. Let it go. I'm glad I had that experience. Now I know better about rattlesnakes. I met one, okay? I know how to deal with it. Well, okay, fine. You met divorce. Your parents got divorced. Wonderful. You win. The person whose parents didn't get divorced, they lost. They didn't get to have that experience. That's how you have to look at it. Every single experience you have is its weight in gold. It's a gift from God. And it's your gift because nobody else had your experience. So you process these. Let them go. That's your spiritual path. If meditation helps, meditate. If mantra helps, do mantra. But the purpose is not meditation or mantra or any other techniques. The purpose is, are you willing to stop storing inside of you the things that were difficult when you had the experience? Because otherwise you store difficulty inside of you. It's going to be there all the time. You understand that? If you have a bad smell, don't collect them and take them home so you put them in a room and remember how bad it was and how much you didn't like it. Just let it pass. Open the windows or don't. I don't know what to do when I get a skunk. I always forget. But just let it go and it'll be over. It'll pass. Don't never drive down that road again. You hear me? Let your experiences pass and they will have fed you. You'll become a wholer person because you had them. You don't need to hold them in your mind. That is spirituality. And now I showed you why spirituality and life are the same thing, aren't they? That's the highest way to live your life. That's the highest way to become spiritual. So find a way to work with yourself inside instead of trying to use your mind to avoid yourself. Don't let your mind say how you want things to be or not. It's so foreign to people. Don't. I want things to be the way they are, and what I want is to be able to honor and respect the reality of the moment in front of me. That's the last want that gets left. That's your work. And you work on that one, it's over, isn't it? So little by little, work with the things that are unfolding in front of you. Don't store them, honor them, respect them, let them pass. And because you're not putting more stuff down there, the old stuff will come up by itself. I promise you, don't worry, it will. You'll come complain. The old stuff will start coming up. Let it go. Let it go. You do not want any of it in you. Let it go. If it needs to come up, let it welcome it. Sing, hey, come on up. You're welcome here. Kiss it, throw a party. Really, I'm telling you, the worst stuff you have in there, welcome it up. Just relax and release as it comes up. And it'll go. It'll pass. Not all at once, but it'll pass. And wait till you see. I'm telling you, your energy will become free inside. You'll wake up in the morning with ecstasy pouring through your being, not worries about what happened. And then all through the day, it feeds you. It rises up inside of you, feeding you all the time. That's what your life's supposed to be like. For our next foray into how to bring spirituality into the workplace and make the workplace spiritual, this is something we ran into. I was in program design for the medical industry. And so sometimes we'd have projects given to us where they wouldn't be defined at all. They'd just be, oh, I know how to keep my medical records in the computer. It could mean a million different things. It was early in the game when no one was computerizing medical records. Or appointment scheduling. What does it mean? What are the criteria? There were no specifications. So there are times when you are given a project that you literally don't know what to do. It's just that simple. It's not that you're blocked. It's that you haven't had the experience. There isn't someone to turn to that has had the experience. So you bring a team together and no one in that team knows what to do. So that brings up a really interesting teaching of how to work spiritually and how the benefits of all of the deep Eastern teachings can come into the workplace. What we used to do in a situation like that is I'd bring my team together, 6 or 7 people would sit around, all very, very high-level developers. And the first criteria that I would work with is, are you all willing to admit you don't have an answer? You don't know. And I'm their boss. They don't like saying that, but you have to start with reality. Otherwise, somebody's walking into that room thinking they're supposed to have an answer. They don't, but they made something up. That is noise that just creates tremendous trouble in the workplace, in a meeting, in this creative environment. All right? That somebody thinks they know, but what they really know is I want to know, and I want to impress everybody, and I'm afraid of not knowing. So it's just ego garbage. And so you don't want to bring that into the meeting. So what do? How do you start? Everybody's sitting there admitting, I don't know. So what I learned to do, and what I taught them, I called it the Yin Yang method of design, of solving problems that you don't have the answers to. You don't know how to start, so let's start somewhere. You start with asking the question, well, what's the minimum that I could do? It's not the right answer. We're not going to do it. Nobody's justifying it. But what is the minimum that we could do and claim that it satisfied this project that we've been given? And you talk about it. Don't design it. Don't get down to detail because we're not going to stay there. You just get a feeling of what's right about the minimum, what's wrong about the minimum. And all of a sudden, you know about this. You know why that's not enough. You can get passionate about it. You know why it won't solve this problem or that problem or satisfy one of your clients, right? And you know why you have to have at least that. We can't go lower than that, right? Because it doesn't do anything. And all of a sudden, you're having a fruitful, engaged, beautiful discussion where a minute ago, everybody was saying, I don't know anything. And all of a sudden, you realize you do know something. You do know what the minimum looks like. So you start with that. But you don't design it. You don't get down to, oh, what will we do? What will it look like? No. Just talk about what the pros and cons of this being the minimum. Find the minimum. Find the lower edge. Then immediately, once you put that to rest for a moment, don't let anybody buy in. Don't say, oh, I think that's right. I'm not interested. This is not about whether you like it or don't like it. It's about admitting this is the least we could do, and here's the pros and cons of that. Then go to the expansive. What's the most you could do? What's the most you could do? There is a most you could do. It could take you 3 years to do it. But given that situation that you're talking about, Just let your mind go. What is the most that you could do? You know, going beyond that would be ridiculous. There'd be no way you'd need to. There'd be no way you'd want to. What is the outer edge of what this project could look like? All right, if you really just expanded it into what's the most it could mean. I'm here for a little while on the planet Earth, just a very little time, a few years. And I get to see, I don't get to see much. It's really embarrassing. I only get to see the little tiny bit that's in front of me in a given moment, and I miss everything else. You understand that? Those of you who think you know something, you don't know anything. Here's a book. It's just the most brilliant book. Read one word. Give me the book back. Do you know the book? Here's a moment in life. There are 700 billion quillion going on at the same time. You saw one, you know what's going on? No, you don't know what's going on. You don't have the slightest idea what's going on. You only know what you picked up. I told you, statistically, what you picked up is statistically insignificant. In fact, it rounds to 0.000. Am I right or wrong? You see it? So therefore, what you picked up can't be anything. It's nothing. It's zero. But you think it's everything. And to you, it is everything, because it's the only thing you picked up. Your universal set is like nothing. It's just, God, I'm trying to talk to you intelligently. So the right way to come into the moment is to sit here and realize I'm a conscious being. That's a blessing. However it came from, I don't know, but I'm here. I know I'm here, and I'm conscious. And there's this moment unfolding in front of me. I am well aware that there are 700 billion zillion going on everywhere that I'm not experiencing, but I can't do anything about that. Let me at least experience the one I'm experiencing. Wow, it's kind of neat. Let me at least experience what I'm experiencing. It's like a gift. This is the gift that's being given to you. There's another gift being given to everybody else. There's 7 billion people on the planet Earth. Every single one of them experience something different every single moment. That's what they're experiencing. That's the gift that's being given to them. And so you actually come into the moment, I'm afraid to say it, with a sense of honor, with a sense of respect, with a sense of gratitude. You sit there and say to the moment, wow, thank you. This is the one I got to experience. It has nothing to do with what I want, what I don't want, or what should be, or what shouldn't be. It has to do with my humility of realizing I'm not the creator of the universe. I am the experiencer of this moment. That's what I am. There are forces that are creating the universe. You do know that. You want to call them science? I love it. You want to call it God? I love it. It makes no difference. Just call it not me. That's the nicest name for the creator of the universe. Not me. Because you know it's not you, don't you? Okay? You're just kind of sitting here picking up the moment that's in front of you. Then honor and respect that experience.
When life strikes us, we feel that internal reaction to the external world. It's still what's going on inside. How do we release that? How do we let that go?
My experience is, first of all, there are things you can do, but the same things everybody else teaches, which is don't hit somebody. To learn to shut your mouth up. Don't let that express through your mouth, because you're going to pay for that. The first thing is a certain amount of self-control, which we all need in order to be successful. But that's not the answer. The answer is every single moment is not the big stuff that you work with. That's too late. It already bothered you. Yes, you have to deal with it. But what I want and what I've learned is there is every moment of your life little things that create little irritations. The driver's driving 15 miles an hour below the speed limit in front of you and you're in a rush. You will watch your mind cause serious problems, all right? So to me, that is where the growth comes from, in those moments. Are you willing to say, come on, what's the cost-benefit analysis of bothering myself about the driver in front of me? It's not bothering them. I guarantee you, they're not hearing a word you're saying, right? So as a business person, we're supposed to take cost-benefit analysis, the maximum benefit for the least cost. Those are 100% cost, zero benefit. Right or wrong?
It's all pain.
So you don't do it. So you learn, and there are lots of techniques. You just learn to work with yourself. You can neutralize it by saying something nice. You can get a mantra going inside so you pay attention to something else instead of that. Or my ultimate teaching, and it's yours also in a sense, is you relax. You relax. You just sit there and say, I can relax and breathe. It's okay that this is happening. And then what you're doing is allowing the energy to release. The whole idea is you don't engage with it. You sit behind it and you allow it to release. And not only do you go through that moment okay now, right? But you've actually let some of that stored up stuff that's causing the problem. Like, what is road rage? It's somebody who, because somebody beeped at them or is driving slow, has so much stuff inside of them that it needs an excuse to come out. That's it. Okay? So we all
I hope we don't all, right? But we all have stuff inside
Absolutely.
that we've stored over our lives.
Yes.
So by backing off and letting go in these simple little situations, they matter. It matters that you're complaining about the heat.
Yeah.
You understand that,
Yeah, I
right?
do.
It's not
Yeah.
innocent.
Yeah.
You're permitting, sometimes you get very angry about some stupid thing. You're giving a channel for your stuff to come up.
And you're wiring yourself to complain.
Exactly.
That's wrong. Yeah.
And so instead, you relax. It's called R&R. You get R&R, relax and release, right? And what will happen is not only do you make it past that moment without causing a lot of trouble and taking out all kinds of stuff, but you've let some of that stuff go. And you get into the habit of realizing, hey, I don't want that stuff inside of me. You start by honoring, respecting, and accepting the blessing and the reality and the right of what is unfolding in front of you. If you don't like it, you look at that as disharmonious. You let go of yourself. And that's, Christ said, you must die to be reborn. That's what we're talking about. You literally do the process. Don't get mad at yourself for being a certain way. Just don't participate in that part of your being. You don't have to get mad at your hand because it wants to pick up a cigarette. Just don't pick up the cigarette. In fact, if you get mad at your hand, you'll probably be so stressful, you will pick up the cigarette. Then you definitely need a cigarette. It's the same thing with drinking. Just don't do it. Don't get mad. Don't do anything. Just don't participate in the process that will not take you where you want to go. So if you find yourself making up an alternate reality, I am begging you to just let it go. If you find yourself not liking the reality that's unfolding in front of you, I am begging you, relax and let go. All right. That's not the end of your relationship with life. That's the beginning of your relationship with life. It is always the highest thing you can do to harmonize with the moment that is unfolding in front of you. That goes for business, goes for relationships, goes for sports, goes for children. So many people make it so anxious to bring up a child. Oh my God, what do I need to do? Oh, it's the most natural thing in the world. Be present in the moment with each stage the child is going through and bring your best game. Not for you, but I want him to be a lawyer. I was never, nah, don't you dare do that. You come into the moment with the child and you try to hear what they're saying, you try to see what they're going through, and you try to see how you can raise that moment to the best of your ability. That's all you can do. That's the highest thing you can do, and it will end up with the highest results that can possibly happen. You don't need to worry about it. You need to think about it. You don't need to feel guilty. You don't need to feel shame. Nothing. You just, in the current moment, you bring your best game. What's your best game? It starts with honoring and respecting the moment that's in front of you, period. Not just accepting, that's not even enough. Loving, gratitude. I could be experiencing nothing. Somebody said to me the other day, that remembered I had said this. How much of the universe is blank, empty space? 99.99999%. Do you understand that? That's all there is out there, is blank, empty space. You do know that, don't you? You know, I think our nearest star, Alpha Proxima, whatever it is, what was it, 4.5 light years away. The nearest star, nothing in between. 4.5 light years away. You know how far away that is? If I caught a light beam and held it above the earth, if I let it go for 1 second, it just circumnavigated the earth 8 times. Ooh, that's a little faster than that. Do that every single second for 4.5 years, and you'll get to the next star. The next galaxy is 2.4 million light years away. So, I mean, there's nothing but empty space everywhere. And you get to have this in front of you. That's just interesting. Colors, shapes, things. So what I taught, the person repeated it to me last night, is instead of comparing what is going on in front of you against what you want, what you made up based on your past, compare it against nothing and feel gratitude. I am grateful that I get to have this experience, and be that way with every single moment of your life. That's the highest life you can live, isn't it? That's the highest life you can live. And you'll stop storing stuff inside of you because you'll stop saying, I don't want this. It's all exciting. It's all challenging. I'm willing to go through anything. It's just a challenging experience. It's a fun thing. And you'll become empty inside, and that becomes your spiritual growth also. As you start to embrace the moment that's in front of you with the whole of your being, you become empty. You become pure. And all this energy starts to well up inside of you. Train your mind, not on the sight, but when you're meditating, when you're driving, something like that, train your mind to say something over and over again. All right? It can be a mantra. It can be, when people are into all that stuff, I tell them, just say, I can handle this. Just train your mind to say, I can handle this, I can handle this, I can handle this. Then when something takes place that tries to pull your consciousness, your awareness into that negativity, you'll find this is still going on because it's a habit. The mind's full of habits, isn't it?
Yeah.
You made a good habit. So now you have a choice.
Cool.
Put your consciousness on the noise or put your consciousness on the the mantra, the higher mind,
Yes.
the higher thing, right?
Yeah.
And that works too. So now that you've moved your consciousness, instead of having to change the mind, right? The mind is free to release. The whole idea is releasing, because when you let it release, it's releasing the stuff that made it be like that. And all of a sudden, over time, right, you'll start to be happier for no reason. But of course, there's a reason. You're not carrying the garbage inside of you.
Yes.
And you got a new set of habits.
Yeah, you have things that are supporting
to
you.
relax and let go.
Supporting you, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately, how I get in, it's relaxation.
Yes.
Ultimately, you can use all these techniques, but when you really are getting there, you just relax. Keep your hands off. It's judo,
Yeah.
right? Something
Yes.
attacked you, let it go.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
the whole blade of grass versus the oak tree.
Yes.
A hurricane can't rip off a blade of grass, but it can break an oak tree.
That's right.
Yes.
And that's what surrender means. Surrender does not mean not doing your best at what you're doing and not being competitive and
Or
all that
giving
kind of
up.
stuff. It doesn't mean that.
Yeah.
It means, are you willing to let go of your resistance
Yes.
To whatever life is offering you.
one, to what's going on outside, and your resistance to letting go of the thing that's ruining your life, which is the stuff you stored inside.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome. For 10 more amazing rules from Eckhart Tolle, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
Free will ultimately does not come in until there's some awareness in you. That's where free will comes from. Until you have some awareness, you are run by the conditioning of your mind, and so you have no choice.